If you slowly.
Okay, work it. Look at them. All right, about time. Chodesh Tov Meborach to all our members. We are we're learning Gemara Ketubot Daf Kuf Yud Aleph, Masechet dedicated by Elliot Shasha in honor of his wife Esther and Tzlachah Rabba for his family. And we begin today's daf on Kuf Yud Amud Bet with 2 lines from the bottom. Rabbi Zera v'kamishtamet mined Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Zera was avoiding seeing Rabbi Yehuda. Why was he avoiding the rabbi? The Baal Mesak le'Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Zera wanted to make Aliyah. Lived in Bavel. He wanted to move to Eretz Yisrael. So why should he avoid Rabbi Yehuda? The Amar Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda had an opinion. Kol ha'oleh mevavel le'Eretz Yisrael over ba'aseh. Anybody that makes Aliyah from Chutz La'aretz, from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, transgresses positive commandment. And not a legitimate positive commandment from the Torah, but he's in contempt of a pasuk in Yirmiyah. The pasuk says, "Bavela yuva'u v'shama yihiyu ad yom pokti otam neum Adonai." The pasuk comes along and says, "Bavela yuva'u." The time of the exile, they're going to go to Bavel and they have to stay there until God returns them back to Eretz Yisrael. Therefore, Rabbi Yehuda's opinion was that you can't just go to Eretz Yisrael on your own. You have to wait until the exile is over and Borei Olam returns you. Rabbi Zera obviously had a different opinion. Therefore, he wanted to avoid Rabbi Yehuda because he didn't want Rabbi Yehuda to tell him that you're making an isur. So the Gemara questions, but Rabbi Zera, what does Rabbi Yehuda do with that pasuk? Hahu bichlis sharet ketiv. He learns that pasuk is referring to the kli sharet. What does it mean? What does it mean? The kli sharet? That the vessels that they took into exile, so those vessels that they took at the time of the destruction of Beit HaMikdash cannot be returned until Borei Olam sanctions it, but not the people. The people can go back whenever they want. It's the Kli Sharet that it's referring to. The Rabbi Yehuda, what does Rabbi Yehuda do with that? Which means Rabbi Zera seemingly is correct, because if you look at the context of the Pesukim are actually referring to the Kelim, not the people. So what does Rabbi Zera do? He's okay, Ketiv Kara Harina. He found another pasuk in Shir HaShirim. Ishba'ati etchem benot Yerushalayim b'sba'ot o be'aliyot hasadeh. And I continue the pasuk, Im ta'iru, Im te'oderu, et ha'aba ad shetechpas, which means the ahava that we're talking about over is the love of Eretz Yisrael. So therefore, there's going to be hitoderut. There's going to be an arousal of the people that are going to want to go back to Eretz Yisrael. So Borei Olam says you have to wait. Ad shetechpas. Until Borei Olam wants. That means you cannot just go back to Eretz Yisrael whenever you want. Ad shetechpas until HaKadosh Baruch Hu is hapet. So that's his source. Rabbi Zera. What does Rabbi Zera do with this pasuk in Shir HaShirim? Ha'u shelo ya'alu Yisrael bechoma. Well, it means is that the Jewish people, they can go back, but they should not go back in force. They cannot go back in fighting, in a war. They go back there peacefully. But to go back in Milchama, that they cannot. So interesting, even according to Mizerah, he allowed the Jews of exile to go back to Eretz Yisrael, but not through wars. So therefore, Gemara's question then is, what does Rabbi Yehuda do? Rabbi Yehuda, Ishba'ati acharina ketiv. If you look at Shir HaShirim, actually this pasuk, Ishba'ati etchem benot Yerushalayim, im ta'oilu, im ta'oilu, it says it 3 times. So the Bezerah said, no problem. You want to learn that pasuk is talking about don't go back in war? I have a different pasuk. Pasuk number 2, Ishba'ati etchem, and that's coming to teach you that you cannot go up not only in war, but you cannot go up at all. But the Bezerah, what do you do with the second pasuk of Ishba'ati etchem? The Amar, Shalosh Shavuot Halalu, Lama. If you look at Shir HaShirim, it says Ishba'ati etchem 3 times. So the question of Rabbi Yosef and Rabbi Hanina was, why does it have to, what is God putting us under 3 Shavuot? Ahad shelo ya'alu liYisrael bechoma. Number 1, that you should not go back to Eretz Yisrael by force. Ve'ahad sheshbi HaKadosh Baruch Hu et Yisrael shelo yimredu be'umot ha'olam. That they're going to be put in galut. And galut is a necessary of the process. And therefore they should not rebel against the process, rebel against the goyim when they're in the galut. But then God put the goyim under oath as well, that they should not oppress us during the exile excessively. So therefore, those are the three pesukim, so they're all used. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yehuda, where is Rabbi Yehuda going to learn his principle from? If the three pesukim in Shira Shirim and Mishpatichim are used already for the three Shavuot, where does Rabbi Yehuda know the law that says you cannot go back to Eretz Yisrael? Which means we have double language. Since it says in the pasuk im ta'idu, im te'oreru, so it's coming to tell you from the double language. There is an extra warning from those extra words to come and tell us that we cannot go back to Eretz Yisrael for the Kadosh Baruch Hu wills it. Rabbi Zera, what does the Rabbi Yehuda say with the double language? The Amar, Rabbi Levi says, 6 Shavuot halalu lama. 6 Shavuot, because everything is doubled. So therefore, there's 3 that we said. Tlata hanida amram. We said the 3 already. Inach, what's the other 3? Shelo yigalu et haketz. Number 1, that the prophets amongst the Jewish people are not allowed to reveal when the Mashiach is going to come. Number 2, v'shelo yirahaku et haketz. They should not distance the Mashiach through their sins. And number 3, shelo yigalu atzod le'nochrim, that they're not allowed to reveal the secret to the goyim. The question is, what secret are we talking about over here? So that she says sod da'ibur. So da'ibur is the rule of how they make the ibur shana. They make leap years, and there's leap months, and there's certain Kabbalistic depth behind this calculation besides the mathematical element of it. It's sod da'ibur. Yes, sod. I didn't know that that's sod, but yes, sod. Because there's sodot shelanu, lo shelahem. Furthermore, sodot ta'ameh Torah. You cannot reveal to them the Kabbalah, the secrets of the Torah as well. So that's what it means. Shelo yigalu hasod le'nochrim. Why should we give them any of our hidden secrets? Bisba'ot or ba'alot hasadeh. Now we continue the pasuk. It says that the Jewish people are compared to sebaot. Sebaot is a tzvi. Tzvi is a deer, and aliyot hasadeh is a gazelle in the field. Amar Rabbi Elazar, Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Israel. Imatem mekayimim et hashavua mutav. If you keep the oath that I gave you, mutav, very good. Ve'im lab, ani matir et besarchem kispaot u'chaliyot hasadeh. Barmanan. God says, I will allow your bodies to be free to the goyim like the deer in the field and the gazelles. Bispaot u'chaliyot hasadeh, has v'shalom, that the Jewish people will be devoured by the goyim like they devour these docile animals. Amar Rabbi Elazar, kol hadar be'eretz Yisrael sharui belo avon. That person lives in Eretz Yisrael, sharui belo avon. He doesn't have avon. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, ubad yomar shechen haliti. The neighboring countries of Eretz Yisrael will not say, I got sick. Ha'ama yoshev ba nesu avon, which means I'm not sick. Why? Because the neighboring country, Eretz Yisrael, is above sin. So therefore, the neighbors come along and say, if the people of Eretz Yisrael had sinned, so we know the rule is oiler rasha u'shkeno, the neighbors also going to get punished. But the neighbors of Eretz Yisrael say, we're not sick. You know why we're not sick? Because the people of Eretz Yisrael are above sin. So therefore, we have a good neighbor. Therefore, they don't affect us over here. So the question over here is, obviously we're talking about people who are living in Eretz Yisrael, Leshem Mitzvat Yeshivat Eretz Yisrael. They're not just living there because they're doing business and they open up a falafel joint. They're living over there because they believe that it's a mitzvah to live in Eretz Yisrael. Then it will not come to sin over here. Which means since they're osek b'mitzvah tadir, and we have a law that if a person is osek b'mitzvah, he's protected from the Yetzer Hara. If his kavanah is to live in Eretz Hashem mitzvah, so that'll protect him from the avonot. And or even if he does make a sin, he'll make teshuvah immediately, and therefore they shall be avon. Doesn't mean that they won't make sins, but the inspiration of living in Eretz will cause them to make teshuvah immediately, and if they make teshuvah immediately, so therefore they'll be sharui belo avon. So comes the Gemara and says that what do you mean over here? Elmaleh Rabbi Rabashe, Anan besovle holaim matnina la. We learn this pasuk over here that we're talking about a different concept. That God forbid people that are suffering, they go through yisurin, that the yisurin, the affliction that they go through, actually causes them to get kaparat avonot. So the pasuk says, "Ubal yomar shechen haliti." Person will not say that I'm sick. You know why? Am yosheba nesu avon. Means the yisurin that the person got causes them to be relieved from sin. So it's not learning the pasuk that we learned that the people in Eretz Yisrael necessarily are relieved from sin. It's learning that the people that suffer sicknesses because they go through Yisurin, that brings them a kapara from their averot. So therefore, it's a different interpretation. Amar Rabbanan comes along and says, "Kol kabur be'eretz Yisrael, ki'ilu kabur ta'ata mizbeach." Whoever's buried in Eretz Yisrael, it's as if he's buried under the mizbeach, which means just like the mizbeach as a place of kapara, being buried in Eretz Yisrael is like being buried under the mizbeach. It brings a person to kapara. Ketib hacha mizbach adama ta'aseli. By the mizbeach, it calls mizbach adama. Uchtib hatam by Sefer Devarim v'chiper admato ammo. That what the adama of Eretz Yisrael is also going to be mechaper, just like mizbach adama. So therefore, being buried in Eretz Yisrael has a element of kapara. Ula habaragil dabasadik Eretz Yisrael. Ula was accustomed to go from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael. Nachnafshe b'chutz la'aretz. However, Ula died in chutz la'aretz. Atu amnu le Rabbi El-Azar. So they came to Rabbi El-Azar and they told him that Ula passed away in Bavel. Amar, ant Ula al adamat me'at tamut. You, Ula, used to always come to Eretz Yisrael. Now you're going to die on a contaminated land. Amru lo, so they told Rabbi El-Azar, Arono ba. No, don't worry, his coffin is coming to Eretz Yisrael. Amar lahem, enu domeh kolato mechayim lekolateto lahar mitam. There's a difference. That means you cannot compare if somebody died in Eretz Yisrael if somebody died in Hussas, which means it's a bigger zechut to actually die in Eretz Yisrael as opposed to dying in Hutz. Yerushalmi actually tells the story that Ula himself, when he was dying in Hutz, and he felt that he was going to die, he started to cry. And they asked Ula, "Why are you crying?" They thought he was in pain, and ultimately he said because they thought because he thought that they're not going to bury him in Eretz Yisrael. So they told him, "Don't worry, we're going to bury you in Eretz Yisrael. You have nothing to cry about." He said, "What's the difference? Are you ready?" He says, "My pearl is being lost in Chutz La'aretz." That means he felt that there was a difference between where a person dies. That's why he was crying before he says. He says, "I'm giving my neshama back in a foreign place." The Gemara comes along and says, "Ahu Gavra." There was a man. There was a guy from Eretz Yisrael, and his brother died, and now he has the mitzvah yibum. But the mitzvah yibum was in Chutz La'aretz, be'Hoza'a. That's a place of Babel. So now the question is, Atal kamed Rab Hanina. He came in front of Rab Hanina. Ve'amar le ma'u lemehat u'liyabema. Should I go down to Eretz to Babel to make the mitzvah yibum? Amar lo, achiv nasa kutit. Your brother married a kutit. Now, of course, it doesn't mean a kutit. It just means if there's a kutit, if she's a kutit, there's no yibum. And I'm saying because we learned on yesterday's daf that kol hadar b'chutz la'aretz kimi she'en lo eloah. So therefore, he said, wait a minute, your brother, exactly, your brother married a kutit over there. He married a chutz la'aretz. So therefore, Bamet, and he died. You know why he died? Baruch HaMakom She'arago. Baruch Hashem that he died. He deserves it. What is he going to live in Chutz La'aretz over here? Just like we learned by Mahlon V'Chinyon in Megillat Ruth. When they moved to Chutz La'aretz, stay Moab, what happened? Vayamutu, Gam Shenehem, Mahlon V'Chinyon, Gam Elimelech. So therefore, Baruch HaMakom She'arago. V'hu Yered HaHarab. What, and you want to go back and make the same mistake that they made? Therefore, don't go. Stay there and don't do mitzvah. The question is, why can't he just go down and do halitza and come back? I mean, what's the?
Because he might stay.
Oh, so he says over here that that was his question. Could he go down to live be'ofen kavua? That's the way Tosafot understands it. Avodah zarah. Okay, so that was the sheila. But to go down temporarily to make a halitza, do it and then come back. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Keshem she'asur laset me'eretz Yisrael leBavel. Just like you cannot leave Eretz Yisrael in order to go to Bavel, because like we said, you have the mitzvah of Eretz Yisrael. Kach asur laset meBavel l'shar aratzot. Wow, Bavel also was a good place to a certain extent. Why? Yeshivot. You had yeshivot of Bavel, Surah, Pumbedita, and therefore, just like you cannot leave Eretz Yisrael to leave, you cannot leave Bavel to go to other countries as well, because they don't have, again, the amount of Torah. Now, that which was said that you cannot leave Eretz Yisrael, obviously, it's talking about the often kavua, where you're going to go make yiridah, the often kavua in a permanent way. But if you're going, let's say, for business or something like that, so then already it is permissible. Now, in those days, the majority of the yishuv of Eretz Yisrael was in Bavel, and therefore they had Bete Knesiyot and the Bete Midrashot, and therefore it was considered already a holy place to a certain degree. Now, similarly, it's brought down by the Chazon Ish that he held in his time to leave Europe in order to go to the United States. You're not allowed, because in Europe, for example, in Poland, there was yeshivot, and you had the Hafetz Chaim still living in Radin and the Shar Gedolei Torah. So we had, it's a deen of Eretz Yisrael. Today, maybe it changes today. Today, maybe that we have, exactly, Brooklyn. We have all the yeshivot and all the Torah and all the things that are going on. Maybe it's not so much. The guy can just pick up and move to, I don't know where, to Nebraska somewhere. They have to stay in the place of the Torah.
אם לפתוח מקום חדש, אפשר או לא?
עד שזה ייפתח, עד שיעלה, ויבוא, ויגיע, ויראה, וירסה. כן, תשאר את זה לחב"ד, הם יעשו את העבודה הזאת. רבא ורבי יוסף, לאמרי תרוויו, רבא ורבי יוסף, לאמרי תרוויו, אפילו מפומפדיטה למקובה. It's amazing that even from Pumbedita, which is obviously a city of Torah, to Bekube, which was a village next to Pumbedita. I mean, even Brooklyn to deal. That's it. Even you can't even go to a suburb next to Brooklyn, next to Pumbedita. Queens, exactly. But you got to come back. Pumbedita to Bekube. What happened? The guy moved from Pumbedita. He went to the nice place, Bekube. What happened? Shabtei Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef put him in Hirim. He put him in excommunication. Why? Maybe not because that he moved, but because he made an averah. And the point is, it's because he moved to Bekubeh that he made the averah. And therefore, if you would have stayed in Pumbedita, you would have never made that averah that we would have to put you in Hirim for. Instead, he didn't put him in Hirim because of the move. He put him in Hirim because after he moved, he made an averah that was worthy to put Hirim. But he said that was the cause of the averah.
Or maybe the other way around. He wanted to do the Avera, he couldn't do it there.
So he moved over there.
Moved there so they can do the Avera.
Okay, so that's worse.
Of course.
Who did Afak Pumbedita to Estonia? He moved to Estonia. To Pumbedita. Shachib, he died. Amar Abaye, he had Shuma Rabbanan, Ava Haye. If he wanted to live, he could have lived. He should have stayed in Pumbedita. That's the Ilsha Torah. Kim Hayenu for Richamen. What did he move to Estonia for? Therefore, what should he do? He brought his death upon himself. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Tarvayo. Kishirin shebevavel, the kosher ones of Bavel, we'll see what this means. Eretz Yisrael kol tatan. There's tikva. The kosher ones of Bavel, Eretz Yisrael will accept them. Kishirin shebishar haratzot, the kosher Jews in other countries, Bavel kol tatan. Bavel will accept it. And what are we talking about over here? So the Gemara says, Leman. Ilima liyuhasin, if we're talking about yuhasin, yuhasin means that they come from good families of good lineage, which means that if a person has a good lineage from a family in Bavel, so the Jews of Eretz Yisrael will accept them and marry. Because Eretz Yisrael was known for their lineage, we're assuming. So therefore, say, if you come from a good pedigreed family from Bavel, so then Eretz Yisrael will accept them, which just sounds like that Eretz Yisrael has better lineage than Bavel. But it's not true. Ve'amar mor kol ha'arasot isa le'eres Yisrael, which means all the other lands are like dough compared to Israel. Dough means it's a mixture. It's it's not pure as opposed to flour, which is solid. Exactly, which means all the other countries are considered Isa. Eretz Yisrael is considered flour, solid compared to the other countries. However, the Eretz Yisrael Isa le Bavel, but compared to Bavel, Eretz Yisrael is Isa to Bavel. That means Bavel is stronger. So how could the Gemara come along and say that the lineage ones of Bavel they accepted in Eretz Yisrael? As if Eretz Yisrael is higher. It's not. Right? Again, correct. Eretz Yisrael is high. Bavel was higher in Yehus in those days than Eretz Yisrael. So how could it come along and say that the fine ones of Bavel will be accepted by Eretz Yisrael? So the Gemara says no. Ela le'inyan kibura. It's referring to burial. That the kishirim of Bavel, so they bring their coffins to Eretz Yisrael. And the kosher ones in other countries, they bring them to Bavel. So therefore, that's referring to over here. Again, because Bavel did have a certain zechut, as we said, they had the zechut of the Torah.
What time frame was this after Bayit Sheni?
This sounds like right. This sounds like the time of Bayit Sheni.
After
the time of Bayit Sheni. Time Ezra. When Ezra came back. That's what it sounds like when Ezra came back.
Right.
Bayit Sheni.
The 70 or so.
Amar of Yehuda, kol adar beBavel, kilo dar beEretz Yisrael. Look at that. Whoever lives in Bavel, it's like he's living in Eretz Yisrael. Now, how could that be over there? We just said over there that Bavel is considered, mixed. It's outside. So they come along and said that which Rabbi Yehuda was Oziel, מי שדע בארץ ישראל ודאי שאין לו לעבור לגור בבבל. The question over here is, שכאן משווה רבי יהודה מגורים בבבל ומגורים בישראל. He is comparing the two countries, Bavel to Eretz Yisrael. He's saying it's the same thing. ולא עוד אלא, he's saying שתדעו בארץ ישראל. He's saying, אדרבה, if you live in Bavel, it's as if what? כאילו דר בארץ ישראל. It's giving him an advantage. ואילו לעיל, remember, that was the one that said you cannot leave Babel to go to Eretz Yisrael. And now it's coming along to say that if you live in Babel, it's like you're living in Eretz Yisrael. Applying to Eretz Yisrael is the higher one. So if you live in Babel, it's like you're living in Eretz Yisrael. Who's high? Eretz Yisrael. But Rabbi Yehuda said that you're not allowed to leave Babel to go to Eretz Yisrael. So at that point, it should be on a lower level. So he says, that which he said above, that you should not leave Bavel to go to Eretz Yisrael, not because Bavel is better. It's just because you have to wait until Hashem takes you out of the exile. But really, Eretz Yisrael is better. Well, you can't go there yet. It could be better than Bavel, but you have to wait for permission to go to Eretz Yisrael. And over here, he's saying that you should know, if you're living in Bavel, it's like living in Eretz Yisrael. And Israel is higher. I said, why can't I go? You have to wait until the instructions of Hashem come, the tzivui comes, and they allow us to go. That's one interpretation. Over here, he says a different interpretation. That which he said it's forbidden to go to Eretz from Bavel, that was only talking about to the ones that actually went into Galut Bavel and their descendants. Specifically those. However, we're talking about over here in the future generations that they were not exiled to Bavel, and they just ended up there. They can move to Eretz Yisrael. And therefore, in that sense over there, he's saying that if you live in Bavel, it's great, like it's in that period of time. So that's a big hadusha. We're changing the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. We thought Rabbi Yehuda said that you cannot move to Eretz Yisrael until Mashiach comes. But now they're learning, no, that maybe it's only to that generation that was decreed not to go to Eretz Yisrael, to stay in Bavel, and they have to wait. But the future generations would be permissible. Furthermore, the Gemara comes along and says, Amar Rabbi Nektinan, Bavel lo hazia habnei de Mashiach. Amazing that the people of Bavel are not going to see the birth pains of Mashiach. The people that live over there, they're going to be freed from the Yisurim that are going to happen right before Mashiach. Targema, where is this referring to? Hutzal de Binyamin, referring to the place of Hutzal of Binyamin. And they would call that place Karna de Shizavta. They would call it the corner of salvation. Why? Because if you live in Hutzala bin Yamin, you'll be saved from Havle Mashiach. Amar bin Azar, Metim shebechutz haaretz enam hayim. Right. The Metim of Eretz of Chutz haaretz, they're not going to have Tahiyat Metim. Shneimar, Venatati sevi be'eretz hayim. מה זה צבי בארץ חיים? ארץ שסביוני בה. The land that my glory is in, metea hayim, which means hayim. They're going to have resurrection. She'en svioni ba, but the countries that my glory is not in, which is Chutz haaretz, en metea hayim, which is kind of upsetting. Because if you tell me all these people that are Jews that are buried in Chutz haaretz, that's it. They don't have Ta'ata Metim. So the Gemara says, Mativ Rabbi Abba bar Mamal, it says in the Pasuk in Yeshaya, Yihyu metecha, that your dead will live. Nevelati yekumun. Those that become corpses will rise. What's the double language? Ma'ila yihyu metecha metim shebe'eretz Yisrael. Nevelati yekumun metim shebechutz haaretz. So therefore the Pasuk sounds like what? That both the Jews or the people that are in Eretz and Chutz haaretz, they will have resurrection. But what does it say in the Pasuk? That there's only Israel is called Eretz Hayim, implying that all the other countries are not the land of the living. The Gemara says no, and Nebuchadnezzar, who dictated, referring to Nebuchadnezzar the king. I'm going to bring a king over Jerusalem like a tzvi, that is going to be so swift. He's going to be like a deer, I guess, swift in his decrees over here. And therefore, really, Ta'ayat Metim applies everywhere. We refer to Eretz Yisrael to being Eretz Tzvi. Says no, and God's going to bring a king over that country, over Eretz Yisrael, and going to be light and swift in his decrees like a tzvi. Elmaleh. So Rabbi Azar tells Rabbi Amar, Rabbi, but wait, I have another pasuk. What does it say in Yeshaya? Noten neshama la'am aleha. That I only give neshama, meaning life, to the nation that is in Eretz Yisrael. The ruach laholichim ba, which is Eretz Yisrael. It sounds like it has Metim, but other places, no. The ela haketiv nevelati yikumun. But we just quoted a pasuk that says the Nevelati Yikumun, which sounds like that even in Chutz haaretz they're going to rise. That pasuk Nevelati Yikumun is talking about over here that the Nefalim of Eretz Yisrael, the miscarriages of Eretz Yisrael, are going to come back as well. And not only the people, Yihyu Metecha, and then Nevelati is referring to like even an embryo, a miscarriage, that they died in Eretz Yisrael, they're going to come back. So we have no pasuk yet to teach us that Chutz haaretz is going to have resurrection. Yihyu metecha means the regular metim. Nevelati is the miscarriages. That what? They're going to come back as well. Oh, the Rabbi Abba bar Mamal. But according to Rabbi Abba bar Mamal, that says that the metim of Chutz haaretz are going to come up. We learned earlier. He holds Nevelati Yikumun means the people of Chutz haaretz. Hay noten neshama la'amaleh may abideh. What did you do with the pasuk of Noten Neshama? Elmaleh. If you're going to hold that there is Ta'ayat Metim in Chutz haaretz, it's going to be Abba. What did you do with the pasuk of Noten Neshama Elmaleh? It sounds like there's only Ta'ayat Metim in Eretz Yisrael. What does Rabbi Abahu say? The man Rabbi Abahu, Afilu Shifcha Kena'anit, even a maidservant. Shebe'eretz Yisrael muftach la shehi ba ta'olam haba. Wow. That even a maidservant that lives in Eretz Yisrael, she's going to get a olam haba. What does that mean? It says, La'am aleha, that God will give neshama, life to the nation, to the am. Now, who's called an am? Remember Abraham Abinu, what did he say? Shevu lechem po im ahamor. And what was the derasha that we made im ahamor? Am adomeh lahamor. The nation that's domeh, that's similar to a hamor. And who's that? The Kenani. So therefore, we see noten neshama la'am. Means la'am, am adomeh. Am adomeh is me, the Kenani. And if we're Kenani, we're Shafat Kenani. Now, of course, it doesn't mean that if you're a Shafat Kenani and you live in Eretz Yisrael and you make all the averot in the world, that you're going to get Olam Haba. the Moshe Chaim Luzzatto explains that this, whenever the Gemara says these things, muftach lo, it means if they follow other things as well. It's not only this one item that they do that they're going to get muftach lo shalom haba. It's part of a series of things that they must follow, but this is a overriding. The ruach leholechim ba. Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba Amar Rabbi Yohanan kol hamehalech arba amot be'eretz Yisrael. Look at this. Anybody that walks even 4 amot in Eretz Yisrael, muftach lo shuben olam haba. He is guaranteed again that he'll have helek leolam haba. With Rabbi Elazar, tzaddikim mechutz la'aretz enam hayim. Let's go back to Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar came along and said, "Noten neshama le'am aleha." That what? There's ta'ayat temetim only in Eretz Yisrael. So what do you mean? The tzaddikim mechutz la'aretz. There's a lot of tzaddikim mechutz la'aretz. But what's going to be with them? They're not going to be a ta'ayat temetim. Exactly. Amar Rabbi El'a al yedei gilgul. That's a gilgul. They're going to roll. They're going to roll from chutz la'aretz to Eretz Yisrael. Matkifla Rabbi Abba, Salah Rabba, Gilgul. Not Gilgul, not Gilgul Neshamot. Gilgul rolling. Before you get to Mechidot. Before the Mechidot. Now it's about rolling. They're going to roll. So the Gemara said before them. The Gemara says, Matkifla Rabbi Abba, Salah Rabba, Gilgul tzadikim sa'aru. What do you mean Gilgul? The tzadikim are going to roll? That's a tzad. You can make them like a bowling ball. They're going to go from Chutz La'aretz to Israel. That's tzad. So he goes, there's going to be underground tunnels over there. They're going to walk through the underground tunnels from the subways. They're going to go underneath the ground. Then they're going to walk from Chutz La'aretz to Eretz Yisrael. And therefore, it's not going to be such a sa'ah. And the Gemara says a story over here. And it could be, when Allah wants to give us examples, so therefore he's revealing all these tunnels in Eretz Yisrael. In the Eretz Yisrael, they're showing us all the Arabs that they're building these tunnels underneath the ground. In order to show us, so if a person comes to us and says, how can you build tunnels underneath the ground? They're like, over here. What they're doing? They're building miles and miles of tunnels with lights and air conditioning, and they have storages, mahsanim shama. As after that, they have mechilot, זה כבר סימן שהמחילות עוד יבואו גם כן לתחילת המתים. אמר רביי, הוצאתני ממצרים וקברתני בגבורתם. This was Yaakov Abinu, that he came along and he said, take me out of Mitzrayim, ukbartani b'gmuratam, and I want to be buried with my fathers, meaning in Hebron. Amar karna devarim bego. The problem will be, it seems there's a contradiction. Why? Yaakov Abinu should tzaddik kamurai. Obviously, he knows that he's a tzaddik, and therefore he knows that he doesn't need the zichut of Eretz Yisrael for Hayat Hametim. Ve'im metim sheb'chutz haaretz hayim. If he knows that anyway in chutz haaretz is going to be Hayat Hametim, lama hetriach et banav. Why did he matriach his sons to go to Eretz Yisrael to bury him there? Ela what? Ela shema lo yizkeh lemechilot. Oh, he was worried that maybe he's not going to be zochet to the mechilot, to those tunnels. You need a zechut. Wow, so if Yaakov Abinu is worried he's not going to be zochet to those tunnels, then what are we going to do? Then who's going to be zochet over here? Which means tzaddikim and chutz haaretz, that what Kana holds, they have the gilgul, and they don't have the mechilot, unless you have a big zechut. Gilgul they have, but mechilot is not for everybody. The tunnel is only for the big tzaddikim. So Yaakov Abinu, he said, I noticed that I'm just worried that I might not be zochet to the mechilot, so it's bury me in Eretz Yisrael. Kayotze b'davar, ata omer, vayeshba Yosef et bnei Yisrael. Then he said, Yosef HaTzadik told the brothers, va'alitem et atzmotai. Take my bones with you to Eretz Yisrael. Amar b'chalina devarim bego. Yodeya haya Yosef ba'atzmo she'tzadik gamur haya. Yosef must have known that he was a tzadik gamur. Ve'im metim me'chutz haaretz hayim. And if you're telling me that what? That there's fat metim for the Jews in chutz haaretz, lama triach etihab. Why did he burden his brothers arba me'ot parsa to carry him so many plates, so much distance? The Gemara answers, Shema lo yizkeh lemechilot. Again, I guess he didn't think he was better than his father. Shalhu le'ahuhi le'Rabba. So the brother of Rabbi bar Nachmani sent him a letter. He wanted to convince him that what? To move to Eretz Yisrael. He was in Bavel. So his brother sent him a letter, and he said, Yodei haya Yaakov shesadi gamur haya. He told him the whole story. Yaakov knew he was a Sadiq. Well, why do you want to come to Eretz Yisrael? Because maybe he's not going to be Zocher to Mechilot. So he was trying to tell Rabbi, also come to Eretz Yisrael, even though you'll get Tzayat Mitim, but who knows?
So there is doubt.
There's doubt. According to Ula, you have to have a zichut for Mechilot. So the Gemara says, he wrote him another letter also. Ilfa Musif Devarim. Ilfa added different things that he wrote. Ma'aseh Behad. Shayam Mista'ir Alisha Ahat. What happened? There was a guy, and he had a certain desire for a certain lady. And where did she live? In Chutz La'aretz. Ubikesh Lerid. And he wanted to go from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz for the lady. Givad Shama Kazot. But when he heard about Yaakov Abinu, who doesn't want to go to Chutz La'aretz, doesn't want to die there because maybe he's not going to be Zocher. When he heard that, Gilgel Ba'atzmo Ad Yom Moto. He said, you know what? I'll stay single and suffer till the day I die. I'm not leaving Eretz Yisrael. I don't want to take a chance. So now he tells Rabbi, even though you're a big Talmid Chacham, but you know what? You should still come to Eretz Yisrael and you should learn Torah from a rabbi. Why? Of course, learning alone is good. But you learn from a rabbi, much greater. Maybe you're going to tell me who's going to teach you in Israel. No, yes, you have a rabbi. Umanu, Rabbi Yohanan. You have Rabbi Yohanan. But if you're not planning on coming to Eretz Yisrael, so I warn you on three things. Al tarbe b'yeshiva. Don't sit so much. Sit. Don't sit. People who sit too much, it's not good for hemorrhoids. It causes. Don't stand so much. Why? Standing is not good for the heart. And don't walk so much. Because halicha is kasher le'inayim. Apia musar, halicha kasher, because you see things in the street you're not supposed to see, so don't walk so much. Because we're going to walk so much, it's kasher le'inayim. It's kasher shmirat le'inayim.
See bad things.
Right, that's a musar. But according to the Gemara, simply it means it's not healthy for the eyes to walk so much. Ela could be because when you're walking, there's dust. No, it could be there's dust that goes in your eyes, and it goes in the sand, and the eyes, the glare of the eyes. I don't not seeing him, not seeing. Ela shlish bi yeshiva. So how should you divide your schedule? A third of the day, sit. Shlish ba'amida. Shlish ba'amida. Ushlish behiluk. And the part of the day, you do hiluk over here. Now, he was just trying to say that if you come to Eretz Yisrael, you don't have to worry about any of these things. Because Eretz Yisrael, Avirah de Eretz Yisrael, the air of Israel is healthy, and the land is good, and there's beracha. However, if you're going to stay in Chutz La'aretz, then you got to be worried about these things. If you come to Israel, Baruch haba, sit as much as you want, walk as much as you want, stand as much as you want. That's what the Ein Yaakov explains. So the Gemara says, Amidah. So the Gemara says, Shekol yeshiva she'en ima semicha. Any yeshiva, when you're sitting, that you don't have support when you're sitting, maybe means a back. Amidah noha hemenu. That standing is better than sitting without a support. So the Gemara says, Amidah sakadadach. How can you standing is better than sitting? You just told me Amidah is kasher lalev. It's difficult for the heart. Ela yeshiva she'en basimicha is better than what? Which if a person is sitting on a bench that doesn't have a back, Amidah she'esh basimicha noha hemenu. Standing and leaning against something is better. For example, a guy is leaning against the wall. So it's better to stand and lean against the wall than to sit on a bench that doesn't have a back, a support to it. That's it. Amru, and furthermore, the brothers of Rabbi said, Yitzchak, B'Shimon, V'Oshaya Amru, Davar, Ehad. This has nothing to do with anything. This is a halakha now. He sent them in the letter that you should know. There's also a halakha that I have to tell you. What's the halakha? Halakha could be Yehuda B'Firadot, regarding the animal called a mule. A mule is from a horse and a donkey. The father is a horse, and the mother is a donkey, it produces a
Not always.
well. Well, we have some. So therefore, halakha can be Yehuda befradot. What's the halakha? The Tanya. The Yehuda Omer pirda shetab'a. Let's say you have a pirda, a mule that she wants to go with a male, and marbi'im aleh lo sus velo hamor. She cannot go with a horse because maybe she's a donkey and you cannot crossbreed, and she cannot go with a hamor because maybe she is a horse. Even though the Hakamim say that when you have a crossbreed, you follow the mother. However, according to Yehuda, you have to be choshesh also to the zera of the father. And therefore, you have to be choshesh to the zera of the father. Could be he's a sus, and therefore, if he's a sus, he cannot go with a hamora. So therefore, we could you can only go with a mule. Can only go with a mule. Ela mina, which means you can only go with a hybrid of a sus and a hamor like it. If you look at the top of the Rashi says mesaf kaleh. The question is, do you have to suspect the zera of the father or not? Hilkach afilu hi bat hamora nekeva. Even if she's, let's say, the daughter of a hamora nekeva, and therefore you say, okay, she's the daughter of a hamora, she's a hamora. No, and marbi'im aleh hamor. You cannot put her with a hamor. Why? Shema choshishim lezera ha'ab. Because maybe you have to choshesh to the father, and the father is a horse. V'nimsa marbi'a kil'ayim. Rabbanan Penigi. Rabbanan argue on this, and they say, "Le'olam en hosheshim lezera ha'ab." You never worry about the zera of the father. Ve'im bat susyai. If she's the daughter of a horse, you put her with a horse. Ve'im bat hamora. You put her with a hamora. You never have to worry about the father's son. But if Yehuda is hoshesh lezera ha'ab, is misupak. So therefore, you cannot put her with a hamora because maybe she has the element of a horse, and therefore you can only put her with another mule. Okay, that's what came out. That was in the letter also. Amar of Nahman bar Yitzchak. Yitzchak, when it says over here, Yitzchak in the Gemara, who is Yitzchak? Zed be Yitzchak Nafha. But it just says in the Gemara above. Vechen Amru, the brothers of Rabbi, Yitzchak, Shimon, and Oshaya. Who are these three rabbis? Yitzchak, Zed be Yitzchak Nafha. Shimon, Zed be Shimon ben Pazi. And these were not the brothers of Rabbi. The brother of Rabbi wrote about these three rabbis. That these three rabbis said the following: "Halakha is going to be Yehuda when it comes to a mule." And who are these three rabbis? Yitzchak is going to be Yitzchak Nafha. Shimon is going to be Shimon ben Pazi. V'amri la Rish Lakish. I'm saying Shimon is going to be Shimon ben Lakish. And Oshaya, there to be Oshaya ben Rabbi. That's where Rabbi Oshaya was considered the Gadol Hador. Fine. Amar Rabbi Elazar. Ameh ha'aratzot. Ameh ha'aratzot. People that don't have Torah, they call them Amaris. Enam hayim. They will not have Tahiyat HaMetim. Wow, Shne'emar. Metim bal yihyu. What do you see over here? That there's certain Metim bal yihyu. That they're not going to have Tahiyat HaMetim. Who's that? Ameh ha'aratzot. Kanya name'acheh. Metim bal yihyu. Yakol lakol? Everybody? No. Talmud Omar, Refaim bal yakumu. מה זה רפאים? The weak ones. ומרפא עצמו בדברי תורה כתוב בדבר. מה זה מרפא? He's lazy. He's light. He doesn't treat דברי Torah seriously, and therefore, Refaim, the people that don't treat דברי Torah seriously, they will not have Tahiyat HaMetim. Amar there, Rabbi Yohanan told Rabbi Azar, Lo nicha lemarayu de'amat duhachi. That it's not right that a Kadosh Baruch Hu would say such a thing. That what? That you're going to say Kadosh Baruch Hu saying that Ha'aretz in them Ta'at HaMetim. Ahu v'merapeh atzmo la'avodat kochavim u'dechtiv. That's what it means. The guy who's easy to go to Avodah Zarah, that's the guy that doesn't mean merapeh atzmo v'devrei Torah. It means merapeh atzmo to do Avodah Zarah. Amar le, so Rabbi Elazar said, Mikra, Hainani Doresh. I have another pasuk. Nichtib, Kital orot talecha, Va'eres Refaim tapir. Kol ha'mishtamesh be'or Torah, anybody that has the light of Torah, or Torah mehayehu. What brings Tahiyat HaMetim? The light of the Torah. If you study Torah, you have the energy of Tahiyat HaMetim. Because she'en mishtamesh be'or Torah, en or Torah mehayehu. And therefore, we have over here Ama'aret that doesn't have or Torah, So therefore, he does not have Kital Orot. It's Orot of the Torah, but it is Sefaim, but those of the Sefaim that do not have the line of the Torah, Tapil, they remain fallen. Kivan, the Hajjad, the Kamista'im, Rabbi Yochanan didn't like this Dirasha. And Rabbi Azar saw that Rabbi Yochanan was mista'ir. Because you remember Rabbi Yochanan told him before, don't say that. Even the Amar, it says, so he said it again from a different pasuk. So Rabbi Yochanan came along and he was mista'ir on this Dirasha. So Kivan, the Hajjad, the mista'ir, Amar le, so he tells Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi, Matzati lahem takana min Torah. Don't worry, I found the takana for the I found a rectification for the Amar Ha'aretz. What's it mean? Let them support the Talmidei Hachamim. If they support the Talmidei Hachamim monetarily, so then they're connected. As the pasuk says, "Ve'atem adevekim b'Hashem Elohechem hayim kol lechem hayom." That if you attach yourself to God, you will have life. How can you attach yourself to God? Ve'haketiv ki Hashem Elohecha esh ochila. Borei Olam is a fire. You cannot attach yourself to the fire. Let's say a guy marries off his daughter to a Tamid Hakam, so that's it. He's in the family. He does business with the Tamid Hakamim. He takes the rabbi's money and he makes money for the rabbi. Yeah, he does business for him. And he benefits the Tamid Hakam from his assets, which is he invites him to his house, or he gives him gifts, or he benefits him in such a way. He gets credit as if even he is connected to the Shekhinah. Now what happens? What happens? So you see that there is resurrection for the Amei Ha'aretz. If they support Talmidei Hachamim and connect themselves to the Hachamim of the generation, that's how they go. Kayotze b'davar, ata omer, le'ahavat Hashem Elohecha, u'dob kabo. Attach yourself to God. Is it possible for a person to attach himself to the Shekhinah? He marries his daughter up to a Talmid Hakam. He does business for the Talmid Hakam to make him money. And he benefits the rabbi with his assets. Yes.
הוא אומר היום, כולכם חיים, בס, כולכם חיים.
ואתם מדבקים.
ואתם מדבקים, כולכם חיים. כולכם חיים, פסק, פס. כולכם חיים. היום דווקא מחזיר אותי אחורה. למה? אומר לו, אתה עם הארץ. אם אתה דבק בתורה, אז היום אתה חי. יש לך עוד זכות, אבל רק להיום.
כן.
אני לא רואה את זה כמו, אני לא אופטימי כמו.
טוב שאתה לא כתב את הגמרא.
נכון,
טוב שלא
אני לא
כתב את
אופטימי,
הגמרא.
נכון.
אני סומך על הרב הזה. אני סומך על...
אבל הבנת אותי מה אני אומר, הרב.
כן, הבנתי, אבל...
מזל שאני לא כתבתי את זה.
אם יש מחלוקת בין תלמוד בבלי ורונן, אני לא כתב תלמוד בבלי.
אבל אני גם בבלי.
כן, אתה בבלי, כן.
מה זה, הרב? מה זה יקים את תורה? זה אינדיבידואל על כל בן אדם, מה היכולות שלו?
No, he doesn't learn.
או שהוא לא יודע כלום.
כלום. אם אדם עושה מהיכולת שלו, זה יכולת שלו.
לא, אני אומר כאילו...
לא, לא אכפת לו, לא לומד, לא אכפת לו, זה לא בשביל עיתונה.
היום אנחנו אבל בדור של הרבה דור של...
אז לכן, שיעשו זה. תינוק שנשבע, שגר was born in Africa, זה מסכין, אנוס.
להורים כאלה.
פה במיאמי זה לא אפריקן קנגו פה, כולם יודעים, כולם הלכו לישיבות, כולם יודעים מה זה, יש כל רסטורנט בכל פינה, ואפילו הוא לא לומד.
אבל הוא נולד להורים כאלה.
אבל, עוד פעם, תינוק שנשבע, אני מדבר בלא שנשבע, כל אחד שאתה רואה בשום סטור, הוא הלך לישיבה, he went to elementary school ישיבה, he went to high school, ואחר כך, he fell off the map. נגיד לו, תינוק שנשבע, הוא יודע מה זה תלמוד תורה, אבא פי שהוא שומר שבת, זה החידוש פה. אבא פי שאמר ששומר שבת, ואוכל כשר, ועושה, אבל לתחיית המתים צריך את התורה. התורה מחיה את האדם. אור תורה מחייהו. אז איך ייתכן? אם אין לו אור תורה, אז לכן, הסברנו פעם, יש גמרא ברחוב. אני נשב במאי זכיין. איזה זכות יש לנשים? אז שאלתי, אז מה זה איזה זכות יש לנשים? אז הגמרא אומר, בגלל שהם שולחים את בעליהן ללמוד תורה ומחכים להם, וגם שולחים את הילדים לישיבה. אני שאלתי, מה זה נשים משכחות? יש להם כל התורה, כל מצוות לא תעשה, נשים חייבות. וכי אנשים לא שומרות שבת, וכי אין להם טהרת המשפחה, וכי אין להם כשרות, וכי אין להם כל לא תעשה שבתורה, וכל מצוות תעשה שלא עצמן גרמה. אז איזה שאלה? נשים במה זכיין? כאילו שהן גויות. במה זכיין? והגמרא מחפשת, ואומר, מצאנו, הן מחכות לבעליהן. על השאלה, במה זכיין לתחיית המתים? בגלל נשים פטורות מתלמוד תורה. אז אם נשים פטורות מתלמוד תורה, אז אין להם זכות לתחיית המתים. אז הם לא, הם מקושרים לתלמוד תורה. איך? הם שולחים את הילדים לתלמוד תורה, זה תלמוד תורה שלהם. ומחכים לבעליהן עד שיחזרו לישיבה, זה גם תלמוד תורה. זאת אומרת, אפילו הנשים, כל המצוות שלהם, אבל איך יזכו לתחיית המתים? אז צריכים אור התורה, אז הם מקושרים לאור התורה. אז יוצא שיש אישה צדיקה, אבל לא עוזרת לבעלה ללמוד תורה, ולא עוזרת לילדים ללמוד תורה. זה השאלה, במה זכיין? היא צריכה להיות קשור לתורה. לפעמים יש אישה, היא מבשלת בשביל הבני ישיבה, מבשלת את האוכל, יש לה קשר לישיבה. כן, או היא עובדת בישיבה, היא, כמו שעומדת הגמרא פה, ואתם הדבקים בהשם אלוקיכם, זאת אומרת להיות דבוק בתלמידי החכמים, לעזור אותם in order to make their life a little easier, so you have a connection to the Torah itself.
אמרתי לכם, תלמדו עם הרב מנסור יש חידושים.
אמר רבי חייא בר יוסף, עתידים צדיקים שמבצבצים ועולים בירושלים. Look at this. לעתיד לבוא, the צדיקים are going to be מבצבץ, they're going to sprout up in Yerushalayim, like grass. What does that mean? That I guess because it's going to come out of the tunnels. Where the tunnels? They're going to come from all over the place. And the tunnels end up in Jerusalem. Now they're going to get out of the tunnel. All of a sudden, you start to see guys coming out of the ground in Yerushalayim. They're going to come out of the city like the grass. How do we know? That I'm going to protect the city. Let's go one more. And that the is referring to Yerushalayim. ואמר רבי חייא בר יוסף, עתידים צדיקים שיעמדו במלבושיהם. Look at that. When the tzaddikim come back, they're going to be dressed. They're going to still have the shrouds on. Kal v'chomer mechita. We make a kal v'chomer from the wheat. What's the kal v'chomer? Machita shenikbera aruma. When you take a grain of wheat, you throw it into the ground. It's not dressed. It's a bare wheat. It's a bare seed. Now what happens? Yotzah become the bushim. When it comes out, it's covered with all the stalk. And therefore, tzaddikim shenikberu moshutehem. The tzaddik, you bury him with the malbush. You bury him with the garments. Allah hatkama v'kamad, they're going to come out. If the wheat that you buried without anything on comes out with something, the tzaddik you buried with, well, the more so, it's going to come out with. Now, there's a deeper interpretation over here. Rabbi Salanta said that the tzaddik, his midot are called the malbush. The malbush of the tzaddik is the midot of the person. Like it says, Hashem mala giut lavesh. That's a midah. Giut lavesh. He wears it. Exactly. Begadim soim is referring to midot of the person. The malbushim of the person, the garments what he wears is v'lavasha kohen midot bad. Midot, kilu midot, ulovesh. They say this character fits him. This character is ra'ui for him. Yeah. So therefore it says that when a person dies, don't think his character is going to change. That means even the atid lavo, the way he left this world, that's what he's going to be. If he died this world with jealousy, he's going to be jealous even the atid lavo, and he's going to have the same midot. That's why, for example, when the Gemara says that they brought back the Rishaim, Unkelu Sagir, brought back Yeshu, when he brought back Bil'am in a seance, he brought back Bil'am, and they asked Bil'am, what's going on over there in Ulama Emet? Oh, the Jews, they're on top. So he says, okay, what's your advice? Kill them, destroy them. The same guy, the same anti-Semite. It didn't change. Right. And the same thing over here, that says over here, that the tzaddikim, when it says over here, the same malbush that they had when they were alive, the midot that they have is going to remain. And therefore, it's worth it to perfect it because the perfection is going to be with them forever. Exactly. That's the malbush that we're talking about. The malbush of Amar b'Chaya bar Yosef, Atida Eretz Yisrael shetusig nuskaot. You see this is going to come a time that there's going to be, Eretz is going to produce ready-made food, Angel Bakery. You're going to have, but not from the bakery. It's going to be available
on the trees.
Exactly. Uchli milat, and all types of nice clothes, fine silk clothes. Shneimar yi fisadvar ba'aris. Fisadvar is what? Pisat is I guess the like a pasta. Pasim is material, and bar is grain. So pisat bar, pas vebar. And where's the pasta going to be? Ba'aris. It's going to be on the aris itself. All right, Rabotai.
Wow.
We'll stop over here, and we'll continue tomorrow. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen. Tomorrow's daf will be before Shacharit Rabotai. So tomorrow's daf is what? 5? Yeah, whatever. 5:40.